Hello, welcome to Truth and Wellness. We know that truth is important. It's important to all of us, and so is wellness. And by the way, I'm Gail McKenzie. I'm your host, and I have with me Catherine Carmichael. Is that right?
That is right.
Catherine spelled with a E-R-Y-N at the end. Yes, Queen of Scotland was, I understand. I'm really glad you're here with us today.
Well, I'm glad to be here.
Now, you have had some challenges. And it began, I believe, in another state, somewhere out in the Southwest. So tell us the beginning of your story. Where does it begin?
It begins in New Mexico.
Ooh, okay.
In the mountains outside of Albuquerque.
All right. And what were you doing there?
Well, I was camping with my family. I was only 8 years old.
Very young.
Very young. We were horse camping, at least that's what we called it. We took a couple of horses, we were out in the woods, up in the mountains, and we just were enjoying nature and just being together as a family.
And you were riding a horse. You were with your father, is that right, on a horse?
That's right.
And then your mom and brother, do I have that right?
Yes.
They were on the other horse?
They were.
Okay, and tell us what happened next then, Catherine.
Well, the horse that I was on, decided it did not much want to cross a little stream that we were heading towards. And my father urged the horse to go over the stream, and the horse declined rather violently. It chose to rise up on its back feet in the classic stallion pose.
Wow.
Which is pretty athletic for a horse.
Yes.
And since it didn't have any practice with the necessary athleticism, it quickly fell over backwards on top of my father and I.
Wow. So both of you were under the weight of that horse there. Now, what happened to you specifically?
Well, as the horse was scrambling around, as it was trying to regain its feet,
Yes.
it actually clipped me in the side of the head with one of its hooves.
Okay. So you actually sustained a head injury then at that time?
I did.
Okay. And what did your parents do, or what did your dad do then, and what happened then?
My dad had lost his glasses, but despite that, he ran for the truck. And he drove the truck through the woods without his glasses, which is a bit of a miracle in itself.
Wow. Okay.
And he picked me up, and along with my mother and brother, and took off down the mountain for the nearest hospital, which was in Albuquerque.
And how far away was that then?
About an hour and a half.
Wow.
It's quite a distance.
So you had no treatment or anything that whole entire time, that you were just in that truck with them?
That's right.
What was the first indication of the doctors when they examined you, or what did they say?
Well, they said that I was going to die. They said there was not much to be done. I had 5 skull fractures.
5?
5.
Just from that hoof hitting you as the horse kicked you in the head?
We don't know if it was from the impact itself, or the horse landing, or the hoof, but whatever
combination
happened.
Maybe, yes.
Yeah. I had a lot of skull fractures, and my brain was swelling up due to the trauma.
Yes, yes.
So that was the first thing that they tried to deal with. And one of the first things that they tried to ascertain at the hospital was how long it had been since I was injured.
Wow. And you had had all that time for swelling to take place. That was probably...
Well, they actually had a lot of difficulty determining how much time had taken place, because when the accident happened, it was pretty close to 10 o'clock in the morning. We'd just been looking for breakfast because it was so late, and so we knew exactly the time. But the funny thing was that the hospital staff insisted that my parents were confused, because it was 10 o'clock in the morning at that time.
Really?
Somewhere between the mountains and the hospital.
An hour and a half away?
An hour and a half.
But yet it was still 10 o'clock.
It was.
Wow. Okay, so the diagnosis, or what they've told your parents, is you're not going to make it.
That's right.
But obviously you're here today. So it must have stunned the doctors to, you kept living, you were fighting for your life. What happened next?
Well, the doctors were surprised after they decided that I was going to survive after all. They said that I would be a vegetable for the rest of my life, that I would not be able to function.
Wow.
Eventually, they decided that that wasn't going to happen when the brain swelling went down, and
Okay.
just that I would have severe brain damage and be
Okay.
unable to function.
Okay.
Um,
So no, you were not paralyzed at all, though, as far
No.
as your limbs or anything.
no, my spine was uninjured, although I have a sixth nerve palsy of the left eye, so I can't see very well on this
Okay.
side.
Okay. So that means your eye doesn't move, or does it?
That's right. It moves from center to the middle, but it doesn't go this way.
It won't go the rest of the way. Yeah. So
And I had an ear injury, which affected my balance.
you do deal with a few residual
I do.
effects from what happened there that happened that day. Wow. But God was with you. I mean, that's
He was.
just a miracle. So what happened in the hospital? They got some of the swelling to go down, and you were talking then, and was that a miracle to them? I mean, what was their reaction?
Well, my parents were very active in determining my care.
Okay.
And
I
the
wondered about
hospital staff resented them to a surprising degree, actually. And they kept insisting that these terrible outcomes were a certainty. And my parents just would not take that for an acceptable answer. There was a lot of conflict.
Really?
And a lot of prayer. Fortunately, I have a large family who believes in prayer.
Okay.
So.
That's wonderful, isn't it? Yes. Yeah. That's why you're sitting here today, right?
Absolutely.
We're grateful for big family and praying families. That's right. So now, this was several years ago. What has been your journey since then? What have you been, I mean, do you still have to do any kind of therapy or anything with your eye, or is that just?
Well, I've had several surgeries to correct my
Okay.
eye. It used to
Okay.
be that my eye was looking directly at my nose all the time, so to center is actually an improvement. I took a year to learn to walk again.
Oh, you did?
After, the ear injury damaged my balance to the extent that it took a long time to relearn
To
walking.
be able to do that. Now, do you still have some times when you feel a little imbalance? Or?
Well, I'll probably never be a gymnast.
So we're not going to see you going around on a trapeze or anything?
Probably not.
No, swinging
My
from something.
balance is still not as perfect as it might have once been,
Sure,
but
sure.
it is perfectly adequate for what I
That's
need.
right. You're here and you can walk. And so now, did you do therapy at home or outpatient therapy?
There was some of both.
Both of those.
Yeah, some of both after
Yeah.
I was released from the hospital.
Well, it sounds like your parents were not going to let you stop doing anything. They were just going to push you until.
My parents have been very active my whole life. They are true parents. They're
Yes.
involved in everything.
Wow, what a blessing.
It is. It
that's
really is.
wonderful, isn't it? Yes. And so you've just been making that journey and continuing to grow stronger and stronger. And so where are you today? What are you doing today?
The worst effect in the long run, I think, one of the 5 skull fractures went across the very back at the base of my skull.
Okay.
And that happens to be where the pituitary gland is located.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And the injury at that place damaged my pituitary gland to the extent that it just doesn't function.
At all?
At all.
Really?
Which means that I don't have any hormones.
At all?
At all.
I'm going to say that again. At all. Wow. Okay.
It took the doctors a number of years to discover that the pituitary gland had been damaged.
Man. But in all that time, you were functioning without hormones to.
I was.
Wow. Wow.
You're not supposed to be able to do that, as
You're
it
not
turns
supposed
out.
to be able to do that. I don't think so. No. So again, another miracle.
Yeah.
While the doctors are trying to figure out, here you are.
Well, eventually my mother figured out that I had not grown any, because growth hormone
Sure.
is what helps you to grow taller.
Sure.
So when I was 8, I was exactly the same size. When I was 14, I was exactly the same size.
Wow. But today, how tall are you?
I'm 5'5", which is
taller than
exactly
me.
average.
It
It's exactly average for women.
Wow. So once they discovered that, then they gave you the correct hormones and what you needed
Absolutely.
to be able to grow and grow great. I mean, that's really amazing, isn't that?
It is. God works through modern medicine. He really does.
He does. And especially when we pinpoint and find out what those specific things are, needs that we have. So, wow, that is just amazing. And now today, are you working? What are you doing today?
I'm a math teacher.
You are a math teacher.
I am.
My goodness. Okay. So all those numbers and everything you work well with that then, huh?
I do. It's very fortunate I didn't end up with brain damage.
I guess so. Wow, that is amazing. God has just really blessed you, hasn't He?
He really has.
It's a miracle that you are here today. What a testimony. A testimony to those who may be suffering from some accident or something that they are trying to overcome. And you just have to, in fact, let me ask you this. What would you tell somebody right now who may be facing some injury of some sort or some challenge such as that you have faced? What would you say to them?
I would say prayer works.
Prayer works.
It really does. We have a direct line to God. He's given that to us. And it's just a most wonderful benefit that oftentimes people don't seem to take advantage of.
I think you're right. We don't pray enough, do we?
We don't.
And great faith, too. Prayer gives you faith, I believe, doesn't it?
Does.
And when you know that He's brought you this far, I think that He has something very special for you to do. You're going to teach kids not only math, but you are going to teach them how to face challenges, aren't you? Because you've got a testimony that, well, I'm really glad that you've been with us today. And Catherine, we just pray that you will continue to just, witness for Him and share with others what He's done for you. So thank you for being with us. And we want to thank also our guests who have been with us today and viewing us. And we want you to know that we believe in prayer. And we know that that is an important part of a Christian's life. We're just so grateful that you have been with us today and joined us, especially to be able to hear Catherine's story. So please join us again on Truth and Wellness. Stress relief. With as many as 90% of doctor visits due to stress-related illnesses, it's vital that you take steps to reduce the amount of stress in your life. To improve your health and simply have some fun, consider taking up one of the following hobbies. Try gardening. You get to enjoy being outdoors in the fresh air and sunshine, which can lift your spirits, as well as the opportunity for light physical exercise. And seeing something that you've planted grow into beautiful plants can be quite rewarding. How about playing a musical instrument? Poet Bertold Auberch once said, "Music washes away from the soul the dust of everyday life." Playing a musical instrument can soothe you and at the same time occupy your mind so you aren't focused on your concerns. I know for a fact my husband's grandmother played the piano almost until the day she died, which was at the age of 105. If you can't play an instrument, then how about trying amateur photography? Capturing special moments with family and loved ones, taking a quiet walk to photograph a sunset can be an enjoyable way to relax. As an added benefit, you will have beautiful photos to remind you of the pleasant memories that you've captured on camera. With today's technology, it can be a simple and easy way to enjoy life. One stress reducer is to try creative writing or crossword puzzles. Brain teasers you can easily find on the computer. These can be easy ways to pass time and exercise your cognitive functions, keeping your brain youthful and healthy. This has been a health moment.
Hello, and welcome to Truth and Wellness. I'm Juliet Santos, your host, and I have with me today David Hubbard, who's a nurse practitioner. David, tell us about your nurse practitioner career. How long have you been an NP, and what have you been doing in healthcare lately?
Well, I've been a nurse practitioner for about 13 or 14 years. I'm currently working with within a group of nurse practitioners and physicians with Calsonic, which is a company in Shelbyville and Lewisburg. We provide primary care health to their employees as well as the employees' family members. Over the last 13 or 14 years, I've worked in several different settings. I've worked in in primary care, private practice. I've worked in acute care with retail health, and I've done a little bit of urgent care as well too.
Awesome, awesome. And it sounds like you have done quite a bit of work in the chronic disease arena. In particular, you've got some really great experiences in diabetes, hypertension, high cholesterol. Tell us a little bit first about high cholesterol. Tell us what is the difference between an LDL and an HDL?
Well, but the biggest difference between the two is HDL cholesterol is the good cholesterol. There's two types of cholesterol. There's good and there's bad. HDL cholesterol, which is the high density lipoprotein, is what offers heart protection against heart disease, atherosclerosis, the plaques, heart attacks, and strokes. LDL cholesterol, which is the bad cholesterol, which is low density lipoprotein, is what causes the problems. It is the one that develops the plaques in the blood vessels of the body, that narrows the passages and creates the heart attacks and the strokes. And the HDL cholesterol essentially offers protection against the LDL cholesterol by making the LDL essentially less sticky.
So if we have a problem with high LDL because of whatever reason, how does one avoid having a high LDL? How can we have more of the HDL and lower of the LDL?
Well, we have to understand that cholesterol is essential. We have cholesterol in our systems all the time. It's what the body creates itself to help with the normal function of the cells. 80%, when we look at the lab results on the paper, 80% of what we see is what the body creates itself. The other 20% is what we contribute to the problem as far as diet or lack of exercise. The best way really to control LDL cholesterol, bringing it down and increasing HDL cholesterol, is through diet and exercise. There's lots of evidence out there that suggests that lowering the trans fats and the saturated fats and increasing the monounsaturated and polyunsaturated fats, such as the peanut oils and olive oils, will improve decrease LDL cholesterol and increase HDL cholesterol.
So David, you said that there are varying degrees of cholesterol. Would you say that the red meats and things such as eggs and other products have higher cholesterol levels than others? How does that typically work?
Well, the red meats typically have more cholesterols in them than the white meats do. Eggs is primarily the egg yolk is where most of the cholesterol is. Foods in general, vegetables and fruits also have qualities or components of cholesterol that the body puts together to create the cholesterol within the body. So it's not just a particular food group that we want to avoid altogether, but it is trying to rather balance our foods and our meals so that we get the right components, the right parts that our body puts together in the right proportions.
Okay, and so what should we be eating more of to lower our cholesterol levels? Should we be eating more plants, plant-based foods, more fruits and vegetables? I've been hearing a lot about increasing your servings, so tell us a little bit about that.
Essentially, yes. Fresh fruits, fresh vegetables always is a good way to increase and improve on our cholesterols. We're really designed to be not meat eating, but vegetable eating and fruit eating creatures. Our digestive tract is not really designed to process meat all that well. When we eat meat, it does linger within our system for a long period of time, and it kind of slows things down, whereas fresh fruits and vegetables do not. So again, I don't propose eliminating foods or increasing certain types of foods. It's just trying to be a little more balanced, eating a little bit less of the meats, being more mindful of fruits and vegetables, designing your plate around the vegetables versus the meats.
Okay, so let's move towards a new topic, or maybe not really new topic, but an interrelated topic. There's a lot of concern right now about diabetes. Mm-hmm. Tell us what should we be doing to avoid diabetes?
Well, again, with cholesterol, diet and exercise. A lot too is based on a lot of the junk foods that we have out there. We have a lot of sodas. We have a lot of junk foods, chips and things that are easy access, easy to get hold of, and easy to drink and eat. The biggest issue is with, in my opinion, the sodas. There's so much sugar within a regular soda or Coca-Cola or even Sprite that is, our body cannot really function very well with that. And when it has so much sugars in there, our body produces a lot of insulin. It essentially just kind of shuts down with insulin production over time. Exercise is a key component with that as well too. When we eat to not necessarily to function as far as our work is concerned, but we eat as a fuel. Mm-hmm. And we tend to want to overeat quite a bit. Mm-hmm. So again, there's not a particular diet that I am a strong proponent for, other than fresh fruits, fresh vegetables, plenty of water, plain water, rather than the sodas or coffees.
So David, we hear a lot about carbohydrates and the simple carbs and the complex carbohydrates. Tell us the difference between a potato and a yam, and should we be eating white bread or whole grain bread? Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, we should always be looking at, as far as potatoes, yams, and such, what we're putting on the potatoes. Potatoes are not in and of themselves the enemy. Yes, they do have lots of starches, lots of carbohydrates, but the issue comes with the sour cream that we put on, the butter that we put on them. That is where most of the problems come through. Breads are important as well too, in that we want to use more of the whole grain wheats versus white bread.
So let's move a little bit to diabetes and how we can, what we can do to avoid getting diabetes. We talked a little bit about your blood sugars and trying to control those with carbohydrates, having more complex carbohydrates, eating potatoes maybe with peels on them, etc. Tell us how we can avoid getting diabetes.
Diabetes, for the most part, that would be type 2 diabetes, is almost exclusively a disease of lifestyle. We can, for the most part, avoid it. And most of the time that is with our diet as far as proportions. We need to be mindful of eating more fruits, more vegetables, and fewer meats on the plate. We can still drink our milks and have our waters and such, but portion sizes are very important in that if we have a large plate of spaghetti versus a large salad or more vegetables with a smaller portion of spaghetti, then that increases our chances of developing diabetes, just based on how we proportion our serving sizes of things.
So if I want to eat more, should I balance that with exercise? How does exercise play into that whole thing?
Well, it helps in blood sugar control in that you use sugars. If you're using the fuel source, then you're not saving it to pack it away or shutting down the liver function with converting glucagon into blood sugars. So you need to be physically active in order to burn the fuel. It's much like filling your car. With gasoline, when you fill your car with gasoline, you don't just let it sit there and expect it to do its job. Mm-hmm. You turn it on, it has to run. Therefore, it burns the fuel and it gets to where you want it to go. Physical exercise and physical activity in general, it doesn't have to be super complex. It doesn't have to be Arnold Schwarzenegger type of workout. Mm-hmm. Walking, jogging. If your knees can't tolerate that, swimming if you have access to a swimming pool. Any kind of physical activity. The key with physical activity has to be something, though, that you enjoy doing. If you enjoy doing it, you're going to want to do it more. And so it's just getting out and being very active. Likewise, too, you have to be mindful. This time of year, we're all very joyful over the fact that it's warm weather outside, and we're able to get out and be more active. However, you still need to be planning ahead for the winter months. They do come, and you have to be active that time of year as well. So planning ahead for the winter months, so for your physical activity is important too.
So you mean if I just move, that counts?
To a certain extent, yes.
Even if I can't work out at the gym or run 3 miles a day, you think that works?
What we recommend is 150 minutes, a week, which translates to 30 minutes a day for 5 days out of the week. What I typically discuss with my patients that are just starting to get into exercise is start with walking. Typically, my rule of thumb with walking is you want to walk fast enough and brisk enough to get yourself a little bit winded, but you want to be don't want to walk so fast that you cannot carry on a conversation with your partner that you're walking with, but you don't want to walk slow enough that you can whistle. If you're whistling, you're strolling, and that does no good. So yes, you do have to be physically active enough that your heart rate is elevated, you do get a little bit winded, and you are feeling like you're doing something.
So if I were to do some sit-ups, if I were to do some jumping jacks, let's say I don't have any equipment at home, that counts for something, right?
Yes.
That counts
Yes.
towards my 30 minutes a day of exercise?
Yes. 30 minutes a day does not have to be consecutive. It can be broken up into 5 and 10 minute segments. If you don't have, if you're not able to focus 30 minutes at one time, if you can do 5 minutes at a time, it does add up over the day. So yes, it does not have to be a continuous 30 minutes. If you have a 15-minute break at work, take 5 of the 15 minutes to walk briskly from building to building or around the block or just around your desk.
Thank you, David, for joining us today. We have just really learned a lot from you, and you've just made my day, because it sounds like I don't have to be a size 0. I can exercise 30 minutes broken up in a day. I don't have to be totally exhausted, but I can be a little bit winded. I can drink more water, less red meat, eat more fruits and vegetables, watch my carbohydrate intake, eat more of the high fiber types of breads, and cut back on the oils and all the fats that we typically load our potatoes, etc. Avoid sodas or pop wherever you're coming from. And basically, that's a good start to a good, healthy lifestyle. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us. You've really made my day. For those of you who are joining us today, please do come join us again next time. If you want more information, visit us at www.health-hope.org. Again, thank you for joining us. See you next time.